This time on Low Boost, you're gonna watch me blow not one, but two power steering racks for my C5 Corvette. Right, so if you guys are new to the channel, you probably haven't seen my C5 Corvette track car. I got it a little over a year ago and I've been modifying it here and there to make it a better track car as I become a better driver. So my very first track day with the car, I actually ended up blowing the power steering pump. And I did a video on that, so check it out on my channel because you get a whole idea of how to replace the power steering pump. Later on, I ended up blowing the power steering rack. And I didn't actually put it on my YouTube channel because I wanted to do something different with it. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna show you guys how I replaced the power steering rack almost a year ago because I've now blown my second one. So the first time I blew the power steering rack, I called Turn 1 Motorsports and talked to them about getting a built power steering rack so that they wouldn't blow through the seals, because when you're really pushing this car hard through turns at high RPM, it's a lot of heat, it's a lot of pressure, and you blow through the power steering seals and you got power steering fluid that leak out of the car. The problem was I couldn't just send them a remanufactured rack, I had to send them an OEM one. And I was in a little bit of a time crunch because I wanted to continue driving the car for the season. So I just bought a remanufactured rack on eBay for a couple $100 and threw that in. And I do have my OEM rack in a box. I was hoping that the rack that's in the car now would last a little bit longer than 5 track days and in some regular street driving, but it's just not gonna do that. It got hot again at the track a few weeks ago, and I ended up having to end the day. It was at the end of the day of my last session, but a little bit of power steering fluid leaked out, got on the headers, and looked like the car was smoking a little bit, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But I can't really go back out on the track now until I get a new power steering rack. So I am gonna send that out. But make sure you guys check out this entire video and see exactly how I did it. Make sure if you're gonna do this, to do it once, or if you're gonna send a power steering rack out to Turn 1 to have them do it, try to find yourselves an OEM one to send out as opposed to swapping it out twice like I'm doing. Check it out. All right, so I'm trying to chase a few problems that I'm having with the C5. Replace the power steering pump, as you saw in a previous video, as well as the I installed a power steering cooler, but still having some problems with the power steering. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this pump out. I got a cheap one on eBay that I'm gonna swap in, and then the original OEM one that I have here, I'm gonna send out to Turn 1 and have them reinforce it for next year. Hopefully the one that I replaced will last for the rest of the season, and then I'll have that one reinforced. So far already, just so you guys know, disconnected positive or negative battery terminal, whatever one you feel comfortable with. And I already took out the alternator because that gives me easier access to all the stuff down here. Your access to the stuff I have to disconnect on this side. Most specifically, that bolt there, which connects the rack to my column. Now, I'm definitely gonna disconnect it, but what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna brake clean that up and mark it, so I know exactly where it lines up when it comes back in, and I'm gotta try to keep the steering wheel straight after I do it. So fortunately, this is in an easy spot so far. So now it's cleaned up, I marked it. Now obviously the rack that I'm gonna be putting in is replacing it, but I'm gonna still try to line up the marks as best I can dimensionally on the new steering rack. You guys to know, I'm loosening this first, not removing it first. I'll probably remove it last. I just want to make sure that this is the easiest thing to get off, because once everything else is disconnected, it will be harder to remove this nut with this bolt, but then I will slide it out last. I want about Harbor Freight tools, but this is how I got that off. Just because you can actually just get really down and dirty and angle this right where you want it with the crow's foot and then pop it right off. And that came off down there. Disconnect the tie rod, and the easiest way to do that is with an impact gun, but if you don't have one, you can use an Allen key and a crescent wrench and hit it that way. You'll notice my beautiful K&S brakes. These are off of a C C6 Z51, so they're a little bit bigger than the stock C5 brakes. You just have to get the C6 Z51 caliper, and you can use caliper bracket, and you can reuse the same caliper to make the whole thing work. And these brakes actually flow about 20% better at better air at getting like heat dissipation out compared to regular ones. So check out KNS brakes if you're looking for some brake upgrades. Take your tie rods off and disconnect the column from the rack. The steering wheel needs to not move. So I just literally jerry-rigged bungee corded in 2 spots. The wheel's not going anywhere. Could flex a little bit, but we'll go right back to where it was, and hopefully that holds my steering right where it needs to be. Mine came loose, but I mean, sometimes you're gonna need a ball joint separator, but this one just basically popped right out. Move the brake out of the way. Try not to bend your lines a little bit. It's gonna fall out a little bit, but now this is out of the way, we can do the other side and disconnect the rack itself. So with the shaft disconnected, I'm suspending the ABS controller by the alternator with some bungee cords. Everything is loose, so I should be able to just kind of slowly slide and pull it out. After you loosen the rest of the ABS bracket from down below, and these two here, you can kind of push this up and roll it over. And now it's hard coming through this and this, but once you get it off, it moves out easier. Then you're gonna have to rotate it. You can do this without dropping the cradle. You just I removed my Johnny O'Connell sway bar to get it out, and it came right down the front here. So frees up a lot of room. I'm probably gonna brake clean everything and see if there's any other leaks coming out. There might be. There really might be. So stay tuned. So here's the old rack, and actually when I turned it upside down, power steering fluid came right out of here. So this thing was just absolutely no good. I'm gonna send it out to get replaced, repaired. Turn 1 does a great job at that stuff, and then we'll take it from there. This is the used one I got on eBay. It was 300 bucks. It looks used. They say it's been refreshed, but not like Turn 1 refreshed where they go through everything like crazy, but it should hold up for a while. The only thing I'm gonna do to this is I'm gonna put some RTV in front of that, because that's where the magnet steer wires are, and it's known to leak from there. So I'm gonna eliminate all possible things and just go with that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. This was not an easy process for me, and it was a little bit of trial and error, but once I got the steering rack disconnected, the easiest way was to actually get it straight out of the bottom of the car. I know some people like moving it through left and right and side, but the easiest way to get it straight out of the bottom, you gotta get the car up on a lift. I was able to do this on my quick jacks, so it definitely is a job you can do yourself. So that being said, I got some more stuff I'm gonna be doing to the car. I have a whole bunch of other different videos that I do on not just this car, but I have a whole bunch of different cars that we have projects on, and I do reviews on people's cars in the area as well. If you're interested in having me do a quick review on your car, send me a message on Instagram at Low Boost Films. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.